There he is. Where are we now? Paperwise. Dave.
We're at item number, next page, page 2 of the run sheet. Marley will share the spreadsheet with our here. So we get to choose the voting system.
Okay. Okay, kia ora koutou. We got everybody here. The two koroas are still standing. Inoho, korua. We are now into item 6, and I believe, Marley, you have something to put up. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, Madam Chair. So this will be, we need to go through the, look at the requisition for appointment of a new chairperson. And so the first thing that we have to do is look at the voting system. So Marley will take us through the voting system that you might be familiar with from the triennial elections.
Kia ora tātou anō. Thank you, CE, and through you, Madam Chair. Before we undertake the process of electing a new chairperson, as our CE has pointed out, we must first determine by resolution one of two systems of voting for election of the position of chair and or deputy chair if necessary. And so a bit of an explanation about System A and System B for voting. First of all, System A allows for a progressive vote requiring election by a majority of voters present and voting, with the person receiving the lowest votes being excluded from further rounds until a majority outcome is reached. Whereas System B provides for election of the person receiving the highest votes in one round of voting only. And so for this system, System B, the person is elected or appointed if he or she receives the most votes in that one round. And so this slide on your screen provides an example of both examples, or systems, I should say. In this example, there are 3 nominations received, apple, pear, and banana. As you can see under System A, after the first round of voting, apple is ranked first, banana second, and pear third. And so a second round of voting is required. And because pear receives the lowest votes in the first round, pear drops off. Second round, after the second round of voting, banana is elected because they have the most votes. But if you have a look at voting System A, in that situation, apple is actually the nominated person who is elected because after the first and only round of voting, they get the most votes. So I just thought that would be a useful sort of demonstration of the difference between the two voting systems. Before moving on to the processing and allowing you to choose which system of voting is best in this circumstance, just a reminder that we must also select the method of resolving a tie. And the two options available today are either a toss of a coin or by random selection. So moving on now to the process, standing orders will apply. Our presiding chair will call for nominations of the voting system. A nomination of a voting system requires mover and seconder as the usual process. A result is received once a motion is carried. And then beyond that, we still need to make a decision about the method of resolving a lot. And so we'll go through the same process in that regard. Nomination, mover, seconder, result reached once the motion is carried. So that's our process. Are there any questions before I hand back to the chairperson to undertake the process?
So, sorry guys, so as the deputy chairperson is not seeking any election, does that wording need to stay in the recommendation? And the staff recommendation, Marley.
It's, if you are absolutely confident that that's not going to be an outcome, then there's no reason why we cannot just delete that from the resolution. It's not essential that it's removed. Because if we don't need to go through the appointment of a deputy, we just won't go there.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely possible to take it out.
So open to questions that Marley has outlined. Anybody? You have a question? Oh, sorry. And
Oh, no question, but just happy to move the voting system. When
you're happy to move 1, 2, and 3? And pages 12. That's up there.
Oh, I think we're looking at different screens.
No. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we're in the voting system for the election. Yeah, so we're doing that. Sorry, guys.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So you still want to move all those out, 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
So just to be clear,
I
let's.
would like to move system B.
Thank you.
Okay. So you got that? Second, move over, Angela, and second over here. And the event of the tie? That's what I said.
Yeah, coin, thanks.
Coin instead of the hat. Yep. Okay. All good? So who's moving that last one? Same? Kapoi. All those in favour of 1, 2, and 3 with the amendments that are there? Yep. Awesome. Nobody against? Last page 15 is a requisition to appoint a new chairperson. Marley process corridor. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before I start talking about this current process, just to confirm, our voting system is system B. And in the event of a tie, it is a toss of a coin. So that's the decision that has just been taken. Thank you. Now that we are clear on our voting system, Council must now elect one of its members to be the new chairperson of the Waikato Regional Council. As per normal process, standing orders will apply. And the process is nominations will be called by the Deputy Chair for the position of chairperson. All nominations require a mover and a seconder, and they can be any one of our elected members. If more than one nomination is received, of course, we will go through the voting system that was adopted in the previous item. We've said in the report that each nominee will be given up to 10 minutes to speak to their nomination. That's what we've indicated in the report, but of course, the absolute minimum in standing orders is 5 minutes, and so we will allow some discretion for the chair to make decision about whether it's 5 or 10 minutes for the for each nominee to speak before undertaking voting in accordance with the agreed system. Once the result is received, the chairperson will be declared elected, and the new chairperson will sign the declaration. And our CE will take the new chair through that process. So before we get into taking nominations for the position of chairperson and handing back to our deputy to do that, are there any questions?
Questions? You have a question, Councillor Remington?
No, I've got a nomination.
Oh, yeah. You have a question? You have a nomination as well? Okay. Well, I'm going to open the floor for nominations then.
Deputy Chair, Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Councillor Quayle to be Chair of the Waikato Regional Council. And just reminding will be a judicial review.
Seconder?
Oh, sorry.
I'm happy to second that, Madam Chair.
So moved by Councillor Ross Remington and second by Councillor Newbone. Any more nominations? And nominations are closed. Oh, huh? Yeah. Is that all good? Yeah. second and moved. So, Mr. Quayle, the chair is
Could
now
I,
yours.
Madam Chair, just say a couple of things
You
in
want to?
support? Yeah.
Okay.
I know and realise it's late at night, no, but it is a serious matter. I had pleasure in actually nominating Councillor Quayle, and it's not done lightly. I've worked very closely as president of the Field Days, and 16 years Barry was general manager. And with 1,000 volunteers, they also have very strong viewpoints. And Barry worked through those different, there's more kind of politics that can be at Field Days and around this table. And Barry worked through those, and the results were there for all to see. I've observed him particularly in the last 2.5 years as chairperson of finance and deputy chair of risk and audit. And I've found his decision-making and chairmanship impeccable. And more recently, we had an occasion where I had a councillor only catch up. And again, he stood for what the principles and didn't play. He played the game, not the man. Barry will be a very good chair. I repeat, there will be a judicial review. But Barry, I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, wish you well and have great pleasure in nominating you as chairperson of Waikato Regional Council.
Thank you. So is that right, Dave? That we haven't put the mover and a seconder in?
Mover and second. We've got a mover and seconder for the nomination. We now require one for the motion.
Yeah, which was Councillor Remington and Stu. But I'm not going to do it. Yeah, but. So we have a mover and a seconder for the two recommendations on the wall. Are we all in favour? And those are against? Noted? 2 against.
I think there might have been 4. I think.
1, 2, 3. Who's the fourth?
Were
Are you against?
Councillor Husband?
No. Okay, so that's it, isn't it? I know the chair's yours, but before we go, there is. Yes.
Sorry, just so that was those 2 resolutions were put together. By my count, there were 11 for and 3 against. And so it was carried.
Yeah, it's carried. Correct.
We now need the new
to take over.
chairperson, Councillor Quayle,
To sign
come
some
forward and to
papers.
sign the
And-
oath.
And before that happens, and you'll take off, there is some food in the lounge for us to have a quick cup of tea and that if you want to. You don't have to, but if you, I used my Māori hat, you're allowed to have raru in here, like your whare tupuna, and then you come out of here, leave your raru behind and have a cup of tea. That closes off the door from, you know that, Mr. Husband. But I'm not saying you have to say, I'm saying there is a cup of tea in there. If you want to come and have a cup of tea and leave your raru in the chambers. So congratulations to you, Barry.
I'd just like to thank Councillor Hodge for chairing the meeting. Congratulate Councillor Quayle, he's been elected new chairperson, but he does need to read out his declaration. So I'd ask Councillor Quayle to take over the chair seat, read the declaration so I can sign it, and then he will need to close the meeting.
Yeah.
All right, just before I read my declaration, you know, it's important going forward. This council acts as one. And the reason I've accepted the nomination is it's going to be very important over the next 4 months, 5 months, that we focus on that we have a cohesion. So that's where I'm going forward. I just want to declare one other thing that I'm expecting at the end of May meeting. And I ask all councillors to think about our chair, our former chair, Russ, and I ask councillors to reflect on his contribution and to put testimony and citations together that I want to hear as the first agenda item at the end of May. So it's going to be very important that we act as a council with some cohesion and respect going forward for the great mahi that's been done. So thank you for that. Now I'll read the declaration. Pursuant to Schedule 7, Clause 14 of the Local Government Act, I, Barry Quayle, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Waikato region the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a chairperson of the Waikato Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002. The Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act dated at Hamilton this 9th day of May 2022 and to be signed by Chris. Sign my life away. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. And I guess your first act will be to close the meeting.
And I'm closing the meeting. Thank you to all. And there's a cup of tea, I understand, next. Thank you. Thank you.